Now we're going to dive into actually creating what I recommend in terms of ad account structure. In one of the previous lessons, I showed you what most people recommend, kind of the meta ad structure, the core meta strategy, and like the Andromeda algorithm. And I talked a little bit about Andromeda and where things are going. And what I want to do now is I want to dive into and talk a little bit more about how I would structure things if I were just starting out. So like we're going to dive into like the 0 to 10K a month range. Okay. And what I'm going to recommend that you do is, as you're just starting out, whether you have a good social following or not, let's assume that you don't have a massive social following. I'll talk about how this might look different if you do have a good social following in a moment. But assuming you don't have a great social following, maybe you have a few clients, maybe you've got, 10,000 people or so following you. That's not a huge social following. A huge social following is 200, 300, 400, 500,000. You're reaching, over 1 million people organically. I would run that ad account completely differently. With this, I would create a main prospecting campaign. And that is essentially what this is. But if you go back to that video where I talked about the ad structure, Andromeda likes to really have one main ad set and you put everything in there. And everything meaning your top of funnel ads all the way to your bottom of funnel ads. I kind of do a hybrid, and this is what I recommend. So I don't recommend just one broad ad set. I still, for high ticket coaches, e-commerce is a totally different conversation, but for high ticket coaches, consultants, I would recommend essentially starting with 3 core ad sets. And these are going to be your personas, your ideal clients, okay? The target market that you want to market to. And the reason that I would break them out into separate ad sets is because they're going to have different conversations, different languages. I'll give you an example, a real life example here in a moment. But the key thing to understand, and this is where I do believe in kind of bringing the Andromeda in. And so instead of having a top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel campaign, I am going to recommend that you sort of encompass the multiple ads for different parts of your funnel into this prospecting campaign. Okay. The ads that I would recommend and what I've seen work in the industry, UGC, are user generated content. So these could be, testimonial style ads. It could even be you talking about your offer. It's just, they look very organic. Okay. It doesn't have to be a testimonial ad. There's a separate, we'll talk about that in a second. Then there's your founder ads. These are your talking head, you're providing content, you're providing value, drawing attention to your lead magnet. The testimonials could be screenshots. They could be videos from your clients. So these UGC founder, these could be top of funnel, where Meta will start to recognize how you're calling people out in the ads. And we'll talk about that when we get into scripting the ads. But I want you to understand the purpose of the structure here. Testimonial, we talked about. Proof could be screenshots. It could be you talking about your proof and case studies that you've done with clients and the process that you take people through. And then there could be comparisons where you're talking about, us versus them. I like the us versus them. And it doesn't have to be your competitors. It could be like the big bad, weight loss companies are telling you to take GLP-1, and then you break down why that's not a good thing. Or there's just so many examples of the us versus them. So I would do all of these ads specific to that persona, and I would break that across 3 ad sets, okay? And I would do, in terms of what strategy, for this, I would do ad set budget optimization, so ABO, okay? Ad set budget optimization. So I'm gonna set the prices at the ad set, what I wanna pay per ad set. I would only do that for a prospecting campaign. We'll talk about as you spend more in a different video, okay? But this is just kind of getting your ad account up and running. 10K a day, that's $350 a day in ad spend. And so I would break that up, probably $100 each ad set. Now, how many ads should you do? Does that mean only one UGC? I would probably pick 3 of these. For the ones that I would start with would be founder, UGC, and some type of proof. I would start with those. Start with 3 to 5 ads and try to find a winner. Okay. And when we get into the scaling videos, we'll talk about what to do next. So let me give you an example of like, if I were running ads to this offer, for example, my ideal audience are coaches and consultants. So I would hit probably the 3 main core categories: fitness coaches, wealth coaches, and relationship coaches. Now, unfortunately, Meta doesn't let you target fitness coaches. They might have some targeting that's still there, but more than likely, the interests are going to go away. They're going to disappear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these ads all about fitness coaches, calling them out. Hey, if you're a fitness coach and you're looking to do this, this, and this, the UGC style I might use is, having a talking head from one of my clients, or a testimonial or a case study that I do about one of my clients who was there and did this, but all about fitness. So the copy in the ad is going to be all about fitness. The testimonial videos are going to be about fitness. The pages that I'm sending them to are going to be branded with my brand, but they're going to talk about fitness. So there's congruency. So this essentially is a funnel, is a separate ad set. All the ads are different. I'm not going to be using the same ads in all of these different ad sets. Okay. Now, how is this different from Andromeda? See, what Andromeda says is you just put all of your ad sets, you just do one ad set, go broad, and you target everybody. That's not going to work for someone who's just starting out, who has no ad data. You need to do a more laser focused, laser targeted ad structure. The ads are really, really important because it's the creative more than anything that determines the quality. So in future lessons, we're going to dive into how to craft an ad and what's going to work best. But as I said in one of the first lessons, every ad account is different. Everybody's reach, everybody's algorithm is going to react differently. So it's important that you understand, you learn how to evaluate data, how to make good decisions. And that is part art and part science. So I want you to know, as you're going into this, there is no set in stone. So for example, UGC my ads might not work well for you. The founder ads tend to be the best ones, the ones that look like you doing social content. With my clients anyway, these tend to be the best ones for top of funnel. I call this a top of funnel campaign, but it's a main campaign. Okay. Main meaning the testimonials, I'm not going to send to an opt-in page. I might send those to a messenger DM, or I might send them straight to a VSL page where they can schedule a call, the same with the proof page. But comparison, founder, UGC, I might do differently. I might send that. I would send the founder ones, were going to be probably my main top of funnel strategy. The key thing that you need to understand is the ads all work together to educate your audience, right? What we need to do, what you need to make sure that you understand is that Meta knows that this ad set is all about fitness coaches, one of your main core personas. They need to know that these ads teach it, train it. That's really what you're doing when you're just starting out with your ad account. You need to train it. This ad set is all about wealth coaches. It's all in the same campaign because it's the same offer. It has the same end result, which is a scheduled call. But what's really important is that you're training it by the ads and you're keeping it separate with the targeting. Now, let's talk about targeting. How big should this ad set be? I think I mentioned in one of the previous videos, in that 5 million range is a great place to start. 10 million, if you can get it there, that's great. So somewhere in that 5 to 10 million range, 3 to 10 million, I think is solid. It's going to give you an opportunity to get some good data and stay there for a little while, probably a year or so at this, 10,000 a month in ad spend. And so what kind of results should you expect from this? Everything that I recommend is always, set a 2x minimum return on ad spend. Ideally, that'd be 2x collected upfront cash, but at the bare minimum, 2x return on ad spend overall contract your deals with your clients. It's really important that you're not starting with low ticket. Okay. I've talked about this in a previous lesson. If you're in this 0 to 10K mark, you can't start with low ticket. If you try to start with low ticket, you are going to lose a bunch of money. Maybe you'll make some back on the front end or the back end eventually, but it's not a good place to start. Start with straight to your high ticket offer, talk to people very directly, talk to the persona. And the way that I'm going to build this persona in the targeting is the things that they're interested in, people that they follow. You really need to understand your target audience. It's really, really important. I cover that in one of the lessons inside of Elite Marketer Academy, where I talk about building out your offer. Like, you need to do target market research like a boss, okay? Like, you need to know your target audience better than they know themselves. And you need to know their pains and their frustrations, because that's what the ads are going to be calling out, right? Everything that you're talking about in ads. Now, you might find that you want to just do 3 main founder ads, and you don't want to, the testimonial, the proof's not working yet for you. That's okay. Okay. You don't necessarily have to have middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. If it looks like this, and these are your only ads, and all you have are 3 ads, I'm not going to be mad at you, right? No one's going to be mad at you. That's okay. If they're just 3 videos of you talking, that's probably more realistic for people to start with. Okay, so start there. There's nothing wrong with that. You can absolutely do that. And then what you can do is you expand and you grow your ad spend. You can evolve into adding more. You could create another campaign that you duplicate out and you add more into it. And that's how you can scale. And we'll talk about that as we go. But that's the 0 to 10 sort of mark. As you're just starting out, that's the way that I would structure it if I were you. Again, we're doing ad set budget optimization. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next lesson.